Episode 301 of the TV Dudes, recorded September 23rd, 2020. Life Lessons. Life is full of lessons. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both. Wait, that's different. Life is full of lessons. Some good, some very, very bad. Like learning that America is way more racist than you thought, like the protagonist of Woke on Hulu, or learning anything but advanced placement biology on the third season of AP Bio on Peacock, or learning just how many ways a mission to Mars can go bad in a way on Netflix. Or maybe learning that music can make a difference, like in the second season of Carole and Tuesday on Netflix, or the strange, disturbing lessons for everyone in the latest 2 episodes of Lovecraft Country on HBO. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And we are the TV Dudes. Gentlemen, it's episode 301. We are in a new era.
301. It sounds like insane. A cleaning solution.
Right? Oh, yeah, spray a little episode 301 on it. Just, put it in there.
That's how you clean up after the whole Love Country incident 2 episodes ago. God.
Man,
I was like, damn, the plumbing must be great when she has to shower up.
So, yeah, I cannot wait.
Unmitigated freedom is messy, guys.
I cannot wait to talk to you guys about Lovecraft Country, because it's been bonkers these last 2 weeks with the body horror. But, I don't know about you guys. I've watched a ton of TV in the last couple weeks. There's been a lot of good stuff, some really pleasant surprises. Peacock finally hooked me with bringing AP Bio back, and I forgot how much I loved that show.
Oh, yeah.
But before we talk about the TV for the week, it is time, as always, for the Power Rankings.
Power Rankings.
Bam! Oh, I cut off your stinger. I was trying to do my own stinger. We all just trying to sting each other.
Y'all know there's a music stinger every time. You know that, right?
I actually have heard the music stinger. I've gone back and listened to several episodes with it. I'm a fan of the stinger. But yeah, like the 2 shows we talked about 2 weeks ago, that's kind of what we do. Is we go stinging around the internet looking for the scores on IMDb, Metacritic, and Rotten Tomatoes, and we throw all this into our stinger spreadsheet to get the definitive ranking of the top. What are we up to now? 123 shows for the year.
Wow.
Guys, we watch a lot of TV.
And I just want to go and pour a little bit out for our 123 dead last Gile Marble Races, brought to you by Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, who's on the total opposite end of the spectrum in the number 11 spot. But yeah, nobody's out there, giving Marble Races any love on the on Metacritic, IMDb, or Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but when they move from YouTube to Netflix, like Cobra Kai did, they're going to get a huge bump.
It really will. If Netflix put all of those in order in a coherent way where you could watch, like, be sure that you're watching correctly through the race competitions.
Oh shit, I'd watch it.
This would take off.
So it's funny you guys mentioned Netflix, because this week Netflix and Amazon, they're doing a kind of a weird little switcheroo wife swap on our power rankings list, guys. So in the number tied for 21 is The Boys over on Amazon.com with Tiger King on Netflix.
Yeah, that's a high rating for Boys. That second season is getting some love.
Yeah, I think Tiger King might have debuted even higher than this.
It did.
Was it top 10 at first?
I think it was.
I don't know. Having seen that guy, I have a hard time picturing anyone higher.
But then the switch up is in the number 18 spot. We got a tie with The Marvelous Miss Maisel and Cobra Kai, which is now over on Netflix.
That is a really high rating for Cobra Kai, and it did get buzz. Like, all my friends were talking about it as if it was a brand new show. Like, it definitely got a big audience.
Yes,
Man.
I did not realize how. I mean, we joked about it a lot of like, oh, it's on such a weird YouTube has a paid streaming. No, people really didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a bunch above this in terms of like better. Midnight Gospel is rated a little higher. That's got kind of a niche audience. Never Have I Ever, which we both loved. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And Netflix canceled Never Have I Ever. There's no second season. I'm so pissed. Yeah. I'm so pissed about that.
But we did get a second season of Pen 1-5.
Yeah, that's Hulu. That's Hulu's fault.
On Hulu. Yeah. I guess that's where that high fidelity money went.
Watch Pen 1-5 with your friends on Hulu. It's like nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that.
Guys.
No.
That's not happening.
I would watch High Fidelity with my friends if you'd bring it back, you fuckers.
Gosh, that's a heartbreaking about
really,
it.
Here's the thing. I don't know about you guys. We watch so much TV that it ceased to sting a little bit when they cancel a show. I'm like, oh, that's just one less show for me to watch. I've got tons of stuff to watch, but there are still ones that sting me, and both of those hurt. Like High Fidelity and Never Have I Ever. I loved those, and I wanted to see where they were going.
They canceled High Fidelity too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no joke.
I didn't catch that you said that.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so dumb.
In just like a brass ring, I can't believe y'all pulled this off.
Well, wait, can they not afford her anymore? Because that's what I thought when I saw that Zoe Kravitz was starring. I was like, she's going to be in a bunch of movies coming up. Like, how much is that going to cost?
That could have been what happened. Also, while we're talking about cancellations that suck, they renewed and unrenewed.
Right.
Fucking Stumptown.
Which.
Oh.
Not that
What?
Not that I went out, proselytizing on the street corner about how great Stumptown was to everybody, but I loved it week to week. I looked forward to it every week. I was disappointed. I felt like the season was too short, and now it's gone.
At least that one was on a network and not a streaming network, so there's a shot at it getting the AP Bio treatment and going to a streaming network. But the two that are on streaming networks are just dead. Like, they're not going anywhere.
Man,
nowhere else for you to go.
Real quick, Never Have I Ever, the Mindy Kaling one, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because there was another one with a similar name that was also really good.
That was the
one.
We
went into the
one with the superpowers. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I may destroy
Powerless?
you. I'm not okay with this.
I'm not okay with this. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And I would rather. I'm not okay with this, but I would much rather have Never Have I Ever back for a season 2.
What really sucks about those two shows is they both had great stinger endings that I guess also serve as, if it's a one and done, good series endings.
Sure.
But it's like you wanted to see where that relationship went, and Never Have I Ever. And in High Fidelity, it was, who was the Jack Black archetype? I always forget
her. We're never going to get her to see her do her "Let's Get It On" moment. I want that moment.
That's the. Yeah, they left me unfulfilled things. Like, yeah, exactly. We didn't get the Barry Drive and the Uptown 5 Kathleen Turner Overdrive moment.
If they would just do that, if they did the Sense8 thing where they do just one movie where they wrap it all up, I'd be okay with that.
Just
High Fidelity would be perfect for that.
Yeah, that's all I want.
And just pay her that movie money.
Yeah, just say, you know what? We're not going to do a second season. Sorry, guys. We're going to give you a movie to wrap things up. Like, that should be the default. That's the kind of thing to do.
I believe season 6 of Schitt's Creek, which just swept the Emmys, is going to drop on Netflix early October, like October 7th or so, and which wraps up the show. But then I think Dan Levy has teased a movie of it. So movie wrap-ups to shows. They've teased a Community movie maybe now.
Yeah.
Movie wrap-ups to shows are not the craziest thing whenever the world can film again consistently.
Wouldn't a Community movie be the most expensive thing ever at this point? Like, how do you get Donald Glover to come back?
Donate his time.
Well, and Ken Jeong and Joel McHale aren't cheap. They got that network TV money.
Well, yeah, and Gillian Jacobs. I mean, okay, she's done with Love. She's probably free, but like, there's
everybody else is working though.
Danny Pudi, the guy's working. He's killing it over on Mythic Quest.
Yeah,
he's got that Apple Plus money.
Yeah,
and a free iPhone and headphones for the quarantine episode.
I guess Pierce is dead. You just got to get Keith David.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even try bringing Pierce. Actually, I really like that Yahoo cast. Like all the people that they got to come in. In the later
Brewster
seasons.
And
the
Keith
girl
David.
from CSI.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta admit, I like that season, but I've only seen it one time through. I've never rewatched. At some point, I need to go back through Community. It's all on Peacock now, right?
Rewatch. Yeah. It's also on Netflix.
Is it still on Netflix?
Oh,
yeah,
on Netflix?
I've been doing a rewatch. That was our rewatch after Parks and Rec. So I've been. I think I'm on season 2.
I'm glad you brought up Peacock, the new streaming network. It launched.
Peacock
I know we're gonna. Peacock launched, everybody.
So we'll talk about that when we talk about AP Bio. Thank you for the power rankings, Kyle.
Yeah, not a ton this week, but we'll have lots more next week when we come back.
Let's segue over to talking about Patreon. You can
Patreon, pop out, stinger. Sorry.
You can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep it with our streaming services, the increasing number of streaming services, and pay for our hosting costs. You get bonus content each week. This week, we are going to talk about that 4 movies you love more than anyone else meme. That should be a lot of fun. We've talked about September and how horror movies recently. We went through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No, not Marvel Cinematic. We went through the Fast and Furious Cinematic Universe. So yeah, you get a bonus content. And we also have our $20 showrunner level where you give us $20. We had 2 shows into our rotation that you name. We've currently got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on deck for EJ. Last season to that, whenever that drops on Netflix, we're going to be forced to watch all of that.
And pop through it.
And our new patron, John Paul, has pledged, and he has settled on his first show being Big Dogs on Amazon Prime, which is looks like a noir show. I'm looking forward to check that out. So we're going to get to that next few weeks. But our previous showrunner, Mandy Kokot, got us watching anime. Her first was a swing and a miss. We watched Kill la Kill, and I think Les and I were somewhat horrified. And then
I understand it, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Kyle was like, I'm a killer. That's what they call the fans. And then she felt it was a challenge to find an anime that Les would like. And she settled on Carole and Tuesday, and we all liked it so much that y'all just finished season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Nobody even made us. Did our homework on our own.
It's extra credit.
Well, and the thing about the show is it kind of hits you like Disney movies do. Like you leave a Disney movie and you got the song stuck in your head. I'm talking about like the classics. You turn this show off, and I've got the Spotify playlist going, and I'm just listening to these songs. And I remember I was even texting you guys in season 2, like, are they going to do some Westworld stuff? Is there like an AI who's, programming Angela, who's like, well, real quick, if you didn't hear our conversation, just kind of the premise of the show is Carole and Tuesday, they're a couple of singer-songwriters who live in the big city in the future on Mars. Because anime. But in the future, kind of money is king, and if you want to be a successful musician, you have to spend on AI and all of this like artificial music making stuff to make yourself a celebrity, like the show's protagonist, Angela. It might get protagonist the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Antagonist.
Antagonist.
Is she the antagonist?
She's kind of set up in season 1. But
sort of.
I make the if you've ever seen Dragon Ball Z, she's kind of the Vegeta. She's like the initial threat, but then kind of becomes part of their crew. And definitely by the end of season 2, she joins the Carole and Tuesday bunch.
I mean, like Carole and Tuesday never met an enemy that they did not befriend. Like they try to hug it out with everybody pretty much.
Kind of their biggest enemy was Erdogan, and in season 2 we get a great arc where kind of Erdogan
he ends up fucking living with them.
His fall from grace is that he's screwed over by his AI accountant the same way that they were screwed over by their music video AI in season 1, which are essentially just these cute Star Wars looking robots that drink beer and spend money, apparently.
Like it looks like the same kind of shit that Booster Gold would have stole from the future. Yeah, Skeets.
Yeah.
An unfortunate name.
So in season 2, at the end of season 1, they're in some like American Idol Best Songwriter on Mars singing competition, where I think they get second place, but they're also given a record deal.
Right.
And it's
which played out beautifully. I was really concerned how they were going to do. I mean, they did it in the first season too. They ended with a competition where they were disqualified, and I thought that was beautifully handled instead of having them win and then dealing with that. And they kind of did a similar thing. Yeah, like they have them come in second place, and it's just beautifully handled. Yeah.
But they show in the first episode that their record contract and like what they won really doesn't mean shit. Like now the work begins for these two, and season 2 is very much a quest of like kind of exploring different genres of music and meeting different musicians. Like this music producer who is kind of set up to be like a southern kind of bar.
Rick
What's
Rubin?
that called? lounge lizard. What's the biker bar version of a lounge lizard? But his actually no, Rick Rubin. Duh, that's it. The perfect analogy. Rick Rubin with the cowboy hat.
Cafe, Rick Rubin. Yeah.
Yeah, and this guy is so entertaining because he's like never satisfied, and then when he's finally satisfied, he goes, "That stuff right there. That's shit. That's the best shit I've ever heard." And he goes from like, and it's really cute how they meet him too. They have to like set up in what seems like a seedy part of town and just play until they get like enough crowd attention to like bring him out of the woodwork. Like everything is very reminiscent of stories you've heard of musicians, but done in such a magical and fantastic way.
It turns it's like it turns a lot of like behind the music VH1 type stories, like anecdotes that you've heard, into these Goonies adventure legends.
It's like Josie and the Pussycats, but it doesn't. Like I always felt like Josie and the Pussycats seemed kind of like a girl thing to me, but Carole and Tuesday doesn't seem like it doesn't have a gender bias. And maybe Josie and the Pussycats didn't either. I was just a little kid, so it was like, boys.
No, but this is a well used potential of that concept. I feel like. The amount of emotion they're able to put in with Angela's storyline, considering that she's consistently the thorn in their side, but you feel for her through the whole show, and the relationship between Angela's manager / mom and their manager is genuinely heartfelt. I couldn't believe. I think I texted y'all when I texted y'all that like, hey, we should probably talk about season 2 of Carole and Tuesday. I can't believe I'm finishing this out and I care this much. It was right when kind of everything hits the fan with Angela's story. I think maybe penultimate
we'll do a tiny little spoiler section at the end, because I definitely want to talk about what we find out with her, which is really interesting. It's not the Westworld ending I wanted, but it was even more satisfying because it caught me off guard. But the 2 more things I want to talk about before the ending. One, on their kind of music adventure, they go to South by Southwest Mars, which I thought was kind of funny. That in the future on Mars, there's still going to be South by. That's still stop on your road to stardom. And then the other interaction that I really loved was the Radiohead-ish androgynous character who was in like the giant. It looked like the Sydney Opera House meets like a greenhouse studio, with like a piano that looked like a huge spaceship.
Beck, Bowie, and Prince merged like some kind of alien triumvirate.
And that song from that episode was the one on the soundtrack that I kept myself going back to. And by the time I got their story, I was like, wow, this is really pretty. It's like a character who transcends time. And like they experience love differently because of that. Their relationship with actually, I think they have a lover, but like the amount of time that they've spent with them, it's kind of it's anime. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't understand it 100%.
There's a little bit of Michael Jackson-y weirdness going on there. Maybe.
But I think the saddest thing about this season. Like, here's the thing. They could make more of this show, but definitely this story ends with part 2 or season 2.
Yeah.
Because in the intro of every episode, you are told that Carole and Tuesday are going to do some, like, Bill and Ted stuff. They're going to do a song. It's going to be 7-Minute Miracle. They're going to do this song, and they're going to play it for everybody, and the Mars is just going to be at peace. And you get to the ending, and you like everything's building for them. They're about to get their album. People are noticing them. They've got all these big producers. We've gotten Erdogan's story. He's now working with them as opposed to working against them. And I love the stuff with Erdogan. Like when you get like the good Erdogan and the bad Erdogan on his shoulder.
Oh God, that's so
the
great.
Good one's wearing the yellow suit on the guitar. He's like, "You got to rock, man. Come on." But yeah, you get to the end, and it's so sappy, and it's so cheesy, but I'll be damned if I didn't start crying at the end of this. But the song isn't them. In fact, they put their album on hold, and they write a song for everyone they've kind of come in contact with on the show to sing. And it's kind of like a We Are the World type thing, but not cheesy. Like, actually really sincere, and with the wrap-up of Angela's storyline, the song Mother... it becomes like one of the strongest songs in the show. And there's this little tune. I should have pulled up the name for it, but at the beginning, when you hear the voiceover from their manager who talks about the 7-minute miracle, and you see like the gold confetti, there's like that song is actually really good, and that's one that I listen to quite a bit. But yeah, when you get to it, they play this big ballad, Mother, which it's fantastic. But real quick, can we talk about the Angela thing before we go on to the next show?
Yeah.
So, spoilers if you haven't watched this, because this is actually really interesting. And yeah, we'll only talk about this for like 2 minutes, but you've been warned. So, gosh, they bring in this whole genetic baby thing into it. Like, apparently, there was a guy who made a clone, and they were created just a baby using technology, and they arrested him. He got out of jail, did the same thing right away. And you find out the first one, this like genetically perfect baby, is the big producer who runs all the AI farm.
That everybody keeps saying might be an AI himself and is like emotionally dead inside and has no soul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we find out, no, he was genetically built to interact with computers in this way. Like, he is literally smarter than other people. Like, he is not a computer, but in some ways he's been made optimized and made completely efficient like a computer. And then we find out the second baby was Angela.
Yeah.
And because there's always this drama with her mother, like we never quite know. It's obviously not a real mother. They look nothing alike.
Right.
But there's this back and forth. But then you find out, oh no. And it's this whole thing where she was made to be like, to be able to become this like better singer. But it's also saying something about, pop stars today. Like, we make pop stars. Nobody like becomes a pop star. Like, there's a system, and you go through and you change who you are. And it's all like people start at the Mickey Mouse Club, and they're bred as kids to which that was her character's arc. They were a child performer. But to be like a literal, creation of technology, to be some amazing singer. And it's awesome because you listen to the songs on the soundtrack, the Carole and Tuesday songs versus the Angela songs. I think the best are Polygene versus is it Forgive Me? There's like a single with the two, but it's essentially the intro song for season 2 and the credits song for season 2. And the Angela song sounds way more polished and way more poppy, and it's the one that's like stuck in your head. But man, those Carole and Tuesday songs, they're like Beatles songs. Yeah. Like, you hear it the first time and you don't get it, but once you get it, it's like, no, this is art right here. Like, but it's crazy because you enjoy the music in a different way. It is fantastic. Carole and Tuesday on Netflix.
Yeah.
You definitely got to check it out.
So I want to mention, my staffer Anna mentioned to me that Kenichiro Watanabe, who did this and Cowboy Bebop, he does a lot of music. Like, Cowboy Bebop has that great jazz soundtrack to it. This has so much great music. Yeah. So he has another big one called Samurai Champloo, which is apparently, the way that the jazz is in Cowboy Bebop. Samurai Champloo is a samurai story with hip hop, and I'm like, God damn it! You may have just given me another anime I want to watch.
Yeah, I was aware of the existence of Samurai Champloo, but I've never watched it.
Yeah.
It makes me.
He's also working on he did a Blade Runner short film that was released in 2017, and I think it's on the digital extras for Blade Runner 2049? Yeah, and I guess he's working on he's a creative producer on Blade Runner Black Lotus, which is an anime series being produced for Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. So,
ooh,
yeah,
Cowboy Bebop and Carole and Tuesday both have these like super timeless stories. Yeah. I don't know if that's like kind of a thing of anime, but it's like I could see people watching this a decade from now and still getting a ton out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was really good. I think we all liked it, and that's saying something given that Les and I both hate anime.
Yeah,
a bit less now.
A bit less now. All right, so let's go on and move on to new business for the week. There was some great stuff this week, and I want to start by talking about a thing that I think I've been dying to talk about for a week and a half, and that is Woke over on Hulu. This is This is based on the true life story and the cartoons of Keith Knight, who is a cartoonist who I've known for a little while. I met him at SPX in like 1990 something.
Small Press Expo.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. We're Facebook friends, me and like 7,000 other people. But I've actually met him. He came out for Staple a couple years ago. That's our Small Press Indie Expo that we do. I love his cartoons. I have all his books. So seeing that he had a show coming was super exciting for me.
Yeah.
And then seeing that's Lamorne Morris from New Girl and various other things playing him and just nailing it, I fell in love with this right away and loved it all the way through.
Same. So Hulu is fast proving that with the right center character, they can crush it for me on a sitcom. Because this was as good for me as Dave. I loved this.
Wow.
Well,
I really loved this.
It's funny that you mention kind of the central character, because when this show really took off for me, which it's got a great premise, which we'll mention in a second, but is how they created the ensemble. Because their ensemble isn't there in episode
Dave, it
1.
shocked me with how thorough the show is.
Yeah, Dave did that too.
Yeah.
But literally in the last episode, there's a scene where they're all together, and I'm like, this is the crew. Like, these are the Ninja Turtles. They're all like, this is what I've been waiting for. Voltron.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the pitch first of all, which is basically that Keith Knight is a cartoonist. He does a sort of non-political strip called Toast and Butter that he's about to take. It's about to get a national syndication, like a cartoon, I think. And then he gets thrown to the ground and basically assaulted by the police because he fits the description of a 6-foot black man who was mugging people. And he realizes that, and when he gets sort of this wake-up call, he starts having inanimate objects talk to him, and he starts realizing that he's been kind of skating by on this black but not that black thing. And he realizes that kind of he wants to speak up about being a black person in America, even in San Francisco that's supposed to be supposedly liberal, that shit is fucked up. And one of the voices telling him to do this is his marker, J.B. Smoove.
Oh, so good.
So good.
But we've also got his two roommates. We've got one of them is the white friend who's going to get him killed.
Yeah, Blake Anderson playing Gunther.
His token Gunther. White friend.
Played by Blake Anderson from Workaholics, who I love and is equally fantastic here to everything else I've seen him be fantastic in.
He's great.
And then his other roommate, who is the black friend that when Keith gets woke, looks at him and goes, yeah,
man, it's always been like this. That is Clovis, played by T. Murph, and he's great. His running gag of telling various women that he's various celebrities, and he's like, you're like 5'2", man. You're not a basketball player. He's like, shut up. She thinks I am. She thinks all black people are basketball players.
He just never dissuades them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I told her I play rugby. It's like, you don't even know what rugby is, but you can be short.
There's also, in a running role, Rose McIver from iZombie plays Adrian, who's like an artist who's his on again, off again love interest, and she's fantastic.
I also love what they do with. They have an episode that focuses on it, but they go into like biracial. What's it called? Biracial relationships.
Yeah.
And kind of when he starts on like his more, I don't know what you would call his character at the beginning, but. His girlfriend's black and is like encouraging him to like very much not be woke, to like, hey, you gotta do these things, be responsible, all this. But then when he becomes woke, he starts dating a white woman, which seems like it would be the reverse. But there's even a point where they go, can you really take out fetishization? I'm not even saying it right now. Out of a biracial relationship, like Shazir Sameda. Now I can't say anything. Shazir Sameda's character is like into Asian women, and it's like, so you have a fetish, and she's like, no, that's just my type. And it's like, no, that's double standard.
Oh yeah, Clovis calls her out on all of that. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Like calls her out for being a cheater and a bunch of shit. But yeah, I love it at the salon where they bring up the like. No, I don't care how good your intentions are. I'm not saying anything's wrong with your relationship, but you got to own that you can't, in modern society, fully decouple this. Like you're not in a bubble outside of all of society,
right?
With no history.
Can I tell you, one of the things I really loved was Ayana, Sashir Zamata's character. I loved her transition. Like, she starts out as like the person who's woker than thou, and she's basically mocking Keith. She's like, yeah, it's great, but like we don't want your goofy cartoons. She's like, she wants him to wake up and be better at it, but she also is like not going to make it easy for him. But then we start seeing the softer side of her, especially that scene with her and Clovis where he's calling her out on her behavior, and the whole running gag where he's trying to get her to go out and she's finally like, dude, I'm gay. I loved that character and where they took her. I thought there was great stuff with her.
I can't believe they never really. I mean, they don't make a thing of it other than it just being a joke. But the name of her paper is the Bay Aryan, and I was like, oh god damn, like. That's as good as the Rent Black People.
Man, can I tell you guys the voice cast they get for the 40 ouncers and the trash can and all those guys are great. By the way, that pilot episode, like I love this whole thing, but that pilot episode is killer because it has so many great moments. It has his basically rant breakdown where he starts yelling at Toast about wearing blackface. That killed me. It has,
and then they show more of that video as the series goes on, and his behavior just goes like you think you've seen the worst of it.
And then I love that he's outside. He goes into the barbershop, and it's like the hipster barbershop in this gentrified neighborhood, and the trash can is like, you know what you gotta do the right thing, and he throws the trash can out the window and it bounces off, and he just kind of runs away. That killed me.
So
I died.
I about died. Yeah.
Well, I love the idea that these like white hipsters would buy this barber shop that's going out of business, but would leave all of the black barbershop stuff on the wall.
It's amazing. He gets across gentrification so fast and so quickly about like, hey, here's what's wrong with this, and you totally get it.
Man, one of the cringiest episodes was when he goes to the party, and he's essentially the token black guy for this party.
Yep.
Which we get the great moment where he meets his love interest for the rest of the series. But what made this episode super cringy is, a lot of the stuff they're saying is over the top. But like every third thing they were saying is like something we have heard in public.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not very far off from Bradley Whitford in Get Out going, if I could have, I'd have voted for Obama a third time.
Yeah.
And all of us in the theater going, fuck.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, it's this is fantastic. It's super funny. It's got a lot to say. It's got a great cast.
What, 8 episodes?
Yeah, I think so. Also,
I burned through this in like 2 sittings, 3 sittings.
Already
tops.
renewed for season 2. So thank
awesome.
you, Hulu. Yes. They got that
Hopefully
one right.
they don't stump town this.
Man, I kind of want to throw a flag down and be like, if you don't get what this show's trying to say, you got to ask yourself some questions about yourself.
This is one of my favorite things on the TV this year. So
you should be able to not feel. I don't know. Like this is not a lecture. Like I don't want it to sound like this show is. This is not. I love Wyatt Cenac, but like this is not a 30-minute excursion into police brutality led it as a docuseries. Like
no.
This is a very funny sitcom that also really, really will make you consider a lot of sides on getting into these issues.
Well, and I think my comment is specifically for the season finale when he has the final confrontation with the cop. Like, you have to understand how ridiculous that scene is, and there's part of me kind of like the dilemma with like his artwork, the black people for rent posters.
Yeah.
Like you don't know how it's going to be interpreted, and I get really scared for somebody who gets to that episode and goes, "I don't see what's wrong. He should apologize to that cop."
Yeah, man. The way that
my kid thought I was a hero, and then
they played off. They put that whole scene was so good because everyone around him is like, "Hey, man, just make it peaceful," and the cop is so dickish about the whole thing. And when he starts flicking beer at the cop, I was like, "Oh fuck, man, what are you doing?" Like I was glad he was doing it. At the same time, I'm like, "You're in danger, man. You are in a dangerous
Well, and it was
place."
crazy. like they do the whole joke about he's gonna get shot, he's gonna eat a peanut and get shot.
Yeah.
Read the wrong passage from the Bible.
Yeah, Clovis is like, what all could happen? And Gunter goes through like 8 scenarios that all. And then he shoots him with a gun.
That they visualized, and it was cracking me up. Also, one of the interesting things is Keith is going through the wokeness at this whole thing. This is not a lecture because Keith is half the time like, what? How can that be a problem? He is not there yet. He's still figuring this all out.
I mean, at one point he kind of like. There's a couple times where he tries to veer towards like I'm doing something with it now, like the black people for rent flyers.
Yeah.
And gets called out from the other side of like, whoa, think this through.
Yeah.
How does this read to you?
But yeah, super good. Glad to see it. Looking forward to more.
Yeah, great show.
So this week Peacock finally got me. I was there was nothing
this
on
week
that.
Peacock launched.
There was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing on this network that really wanted to get me, and they finally did a couple things. One is they're on Roku now, so they're actually
the soft
real.
open. I think the soft open worked though. It feels to me logging on to Peacock for the first time that they really have their catalog in place now.
Kids aren't going to say, what, were you living under a rock? They're going to say, were you living under a Roku? You haven't heard of Peacock? You living under a Roku?
So if only
Amazon for a while.
If only that little upstart HBO Max can manage it.
Yep. Yeah.
So what they finally got me with was AP Bio Season 3. Peacock has this interesting mechanic where they show you one episode or maybe 2, and then like everything else is live, but it's behind the paywall. So like you want to see the rest, it's never coming out unless you pay us. It's and I was mostly, that has not been working. I'm like, everything we watched through the first round, I was like, I don't care about any of this stuff enough to pay for it. But AP Bio, I really like Season 1 and 2. And I was like, well, do I really need more? Do I really want to see more of this kids and the ensemble cast and all that? And then they did an episode 1 of Season 3, and I'm like, God damn it, and I bought the rest of it, and I watched the rest of it in a day. And I loved it so much. I actually feel like Season 3 is the strongest season. There was a moment here that made me laugh more than literally anything else on TV this year. And they did they really expanded both Patton Oswalt and, God, who's his assistant, the lady, I forget her.
Oh yeah, she's brilliant.
And they gave her a lot more to do. And they also, the kids are always great, and they do great stuff with the kids in here. So I was super happy. I was very thrilled with this.
They gave, like, they're letting every kid shine. So I'm watching Season 3, and I'm like, oh, I love this new kid that they got. No, I went back and watched Seasons 1 and 2. Those kids were there the entire time. But like, they don't just focus on kind of the main 3 or 4 kids every episode, although those kids are in it plenty.
Yeah. By the way, can I tell you, one of the things I really liked is that the episodes they did, they definitely went in some weird... I feel like, and you guys tell me if you think I'm wrong, because I know, Les, you're not as big on the show as I am. I feel like in Season 3, they started doing some weirder stuff. They have the episode where Jack decides he's going to make a video to try and get his book, and he gets wind up like whacked out on drugs and hallucinating the whole time, and that was sort of weird TV. Then they have the Katie Holmes Day, which is such a weird
that was insane.
Springfield giving this town its own, and it was also like kind of when they did Leap Year Willie or whatever on 30 Rock. Like it's like they sort of started making things weirder, and I think that is part of what makes it work. But the thing that got me was there's an episode where somehow they wind up with a key of cocaine.
So this is the only episode I watched out of this season.
Yes.
That episode... Wait, that's the only one, Les?
Yeah, I mean, it's... Because
that was
it did a good previously on, so...
So... That episode where something is, I don't remember what's going on there, but they somehow they had hidden a key of cocaine in the ceiling.
There's a new kid at the school. The conceit of the entire episode, for starters, it's the 3rd episode of the 3rd season, and the conceit of the whole episode is that the first half of it, literally to the midpoint, is a series of previously on.
Yes.
And so previously on AP Bio, and then they run a little clip of something. It's like Arrested Development. Like these things are not part of a previous show; they're just part. And then they hit a point where it flips over to next time on AP Bio, and moves on. And so there's a new kid in school. I watched so little of this show that Dennis from It's Always Sunny's teacher character tells all the kids to skip class. it's like a life experience thing. They're all nerds and they got to skip class, and they somehow run there's
Jack
another
Griffin,
previously on
that's his name
about the principal and his assistant and a ram that is going to be
Yes.
die if he doesn't get a veterinary surgery. Pam the ram, and they raise $10,000. They give the envelope to Dennis, who immediately drops it because he doesn't give a fuck about their thing, and it ends up in this huge mix-up where they think the nerd kids think it's the new bully kids' money, and they leave it in his locker. And he misunderstands and sells them $10,000 worth of drugs.
Yes.
And so, like, I'm still not sold on this show. It didn't grab me in season 1, and it didn't. But I was fully on. I was kind of like, oh, this is cute. Okay, I see what they're doing. All right, this is cool. This is kind of a weird conceit. And then the moment where the kids show up and are like, we don't have the money anymore. There was a significant misunderstanding. Yes. And then they just present this brick of drugs. And thus begins the... in the meantime, we've got the other teachers who have killed a mall walker.
Yes.
In the school. And so they think the principal's coming around to talk to them about the murder or the death or whatever. Yeah. And it's not. It's like everybody's in a misunderstanding. And yeah. By the moment, I knew exactly when Randy had texted of like AP Bio season 3 has a moment that made me almost die laughing.
Yep.
I knew exactly what you were talking about because they hide those drugs and it all is revealed.
Oh man, yeah.
The monkey comes out of the sleeve.
That moment just killed me. As I looked through this, I remember the episodes. They got more experimental this year. Like the one that you talked about, the third episode, like they do the previously on the next.
I mean, that's some community blanket fort Law and Order type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like I say, the episode it is like the 7th episode called that. Oh no, it's the 6th episode, and that is where Jack decides to make a video. He's a lecturer as a way to get back in the philosophy department, and starts having weird nightmares and hallucinations. And that is sort of experimental. And then the whole Katie Holmes day that's like a play within a play. There's like all kinds of crazy experimentation going on this season. And I just... also, by the way, John Lovitz shows up as a snotty author looking for ghostwriters in episode 2. This was, I thought, a big step up from the previous shows, which I already liked. But this definitely fell into great territory for me this year.
We got to play this game. Because I figured out which one of the kids I would be. If I was one of the kids in the class. I'm not trying to flatter myself. Yep. Do you guys know who Victor is?
Nope.
No. I mean, I can tell you Les doesn't remember who
that's not my fault. I mean, that's not any indication of that kid's stature in the show.
Yeah. No, Victor,
I also don't know who the main teacher is.
Kind of the bigger kid with curly hair and glasses.
Oh,
I think
Victor. Yeah,
Dennis tries to get with his mom in the first or second season.
Yes.
But it's so funny because this season, every episode, he just out of nowhere is like, here's an interesting fact that I'd like to share with everybody, unsolicited. And I'm like, oh, that's like me.
The one that I love is Heather.
Is she the one that eats the horse meat?
She's the one with the glasses. Yes.
No.
The one.
You're talking about You're talking about.
Let me get it.
What's her name? Sarika.
Yes.
Sarika,
the horse meat
the
thing.
snob.
No. Heather's the one that the other kid has the crush on. Like
Heather's
like,
one with the
I'll
glasses
take the
who calls him.
Yeah.
Who calls him boss? Who you feel like would kill someone for him? Yeah, I love her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lots of funny stuff with Grace this year.
Yep.
Heather is the.
By the way, the other 3 teachers, Lyric Lewis, Mary Sohn, and I can't find the other. But the 3 teachers, the women who are his co-teachers, I love the hijinks they get into too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Despite me not being sold on this show, there is a lot I love about it, and folks can go back and check out our interview with Lyric Lewis from back in season 1. The cast on this thing is just universally fantastic, and I love the bit in the episode I watched of her being like 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And still peeing on sticks of like, no, I need to be sure. He just grew legs.
I would love to see Lyric Lewis or her character on the show. You gotta. I'd love to see Steph do a Where's Waldo, because she'd just be going, I see you. I see you, Waldo. I see you. Oh, I see you.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Anyway, I was glad this one came back for another season.
Yeah, this is really good.
Okay, so let's change gears a little bit and talk about Away over on Netflix, which is space melodrama.
Yep.
I wasn't going to watch this. I had heard some rough stuff from people, and then I saw a few people
So
talking
much bad
it was
about it.
good, and I wound up watching the first episode, and maybe it was low expectations or whatever, but I was like, you know what? I kind of like this. This is Netflix doing their Martian type thing. It's got that sort of West Wing, hopeful vibe, and it's got good people doing competent people doing tough things. I liked all that.
Did you watch From the Earth to the Moon?
No, I've never seen it.
Back in the day, HBO did
Is
like
that the
after
documentary
Apollo,
series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah,
Like,
I watched that.
Back in the day, HBO did like a Tom Hanks narrated
Yeah.
billion-hour documentary about the space. This feels like a dramatization of that kind of stuff. Like there's a certain type of sci-fi that's not. It's not like The Expanse. It's not
Right.
hard sci-fi or something. It more like Gravity or this
Yeah.
is.
Interstellar.
Well, it feels,
Yes, this is methodical adult.
it feels like that at first, but as we go on and every fucking thing starts to go wrong, it starts to feel like This Is Us in space.
That's exactly what. Yeah, this is
Actually,
Is Us in
I have a
Space.
better name for this show
Yeah,
than Away. They should have
not
called
hard.
it Webcam Mom. Because every problem is like, Mom, this has happened and this has happened. If
Yeah.
only you weren't on the webcam right now.
By the way, we do need to talk about how Netflix needs to know how to name their goddamn shows, because Away is a terrible name. And
Yeah.
this goes back to the confusion between I'm not okay with this and something is wrong, or whatever the fuck the names were.
Yeah, never have I ever.
Never have I ever. Like, these names are terrible. Someone needs to tell them to name their shows. This should have been called Mission to Mars or something. I don't know. But the thing is, as I watch this, and the first episode has this big thing where Dan Rydell from Sports Night,
He has
Josh
been
Charles, the clown,
Josh Charles.
so
guy
much
from the Clown Dog.
stuff.
I love
It's just
Josh
so
Charles.
hard to not see him as another character when he pops in.
I love
into
Josh
things.
I love
Charles
Josh
so
Charles,
much.
and he plays the dad of this. He was a former astronaut. He basically is the one who, because of a congenital disease, he couldn't be on the Mars mission, and so his wife, played by Hilary Swank, has to go and be the mission commander. And right as she's about to leave from the moon base for Mars, he has a stroke and goes into the hospital.
She's already off planet.
Yeah,
They
she's
just
on the moon.
haven't-
She's on the moon.
They're on the moon base.
Yeah.
They haven't leapfrogged to this is the last turn around moment.
Yeah.
And the dude in the moon base, like Kirk motherfucker that's up on the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Are you
like,
talking
I'll
about
go.
Russian bad guy?
No,
No. They get to the moon base, and there's a guy who is checked out.
Yeah.
He is fully qualified. He could technically run this mission, but everybody on the ground, when they're talking about Hilary Swank maybe coming back to Earth because of her family thing, everybody in Mission Control is like, no, there's a reason we picked her, not him.
Yeah.
But he's fully qualified. We know.
Yeah. So he
They're
he
just
has,
like, no, he's not going to Mars.
he has a stroke and winds up in a wheelchair and all this kind of crazy shit. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, that's one thing. I understand. That's one thing could go wrong. But then they have a solar panel issue that they've got to fix. And
That's as far as I am right now.
and then I don't want to spoil too much, but then a infectious disease gets out on the ship, and then her daughter gets in an accident. Like, basically, more shit keeps happening, and I'm like, I understand this is a TV show.
And
that
what do you
need-
do when you only have a webcam?
Like, I know this is a TV show. I know you want drama, but it's like so unrealistic. And I look at things like Apollo 13 that could be like, here are the difficulties of the thing, but like a major system breaks, and I'm like, these guys have the worst fucking luck not on the planet.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where it was ridiculous. That said, I did watch all of it, and my teenager, who doesn't watch anything really, watches a handful of things, they stayed and watched the whole thing with me. So it's got an appeal, but we were both kind of making fun of this is ridiculous how they keep coming up with these melodramatic problems.
So I'm wondering, that that actually lends itself to how this show hit me. I part of it's lowered expectations. I had heard nothing but really bad stuff about it, and the cast is
great,
interstellar.
The cast blew me away.
Yeah, so when
I see.
So I was over the moon. Anyway, when I sat down to watch it, my expectations were pretty low. I fucking love Clown Dog. I love Josh Charles from Babysitter's Dead. And it really appealed to me. I dug the first episode, but something about the pacing of it and the family drama and the very obvious this is usness, and how dry the space stuff was going to be appealed to a nerdiness in me. But it made this feel like week-to-week television in a way that nothing has for me in a long time. Like, I know Eric Kripke caught some shit for making The Boys drop week to week because he wanted to keep a conversation rolling.
Yeah.
But Away actually feels like a week-to-week show to me. I'd have watched all of The Boys in a weekend if it had dropped
for sure.
on Labor Day weekend. We'd have been done with that already. But with Away, I got done with that first episode and was like, wow, that was a lot of family drama and shit. Like, cool. Gonna let that digest. We're gonna check back in. Prestige TV. This feels like a Wednesday night Sorkin show. And then so I've now watched episode 2, and episode 2 was I don't like heights. Watching Dawn Wall or Free Solo, my palms sweat like a motherfucker. Watching her crawl around in the spacewalk on that. To deal with the problem at episode 2, which I assume there's apparently going to be a earth-shattering holy fuck problem every episode.
Yeah.
It made my feet sweat, like my hands and my feet, like too far, too high up, too much above planet. No.
Right.
And so I'm looking forward to this every episode, but what I could see being absolutely ridiculous problem after problem after problem if I was binging this, I could see playing out better week to week. I kept watching episode 2 thinking, this is written for television 25 years ago.
I think you're right, and I think that's what people don't like about it.
Today's budget.
That's what, and I didn't click this right now, that's what people didn't like about it. This feels like old school TV.
This is an early 2000 Stephen Bocho show.
This is like when I talk
with good space tech.
This is like when I talk about Legends of Tomorrow, where I'm like, this is the best show for 1993's TNT network.
Yeah. Absolutely,
it's just expectations. So if you go in with expectations that's set right, it's a solid show.
The thing is, there are inherent expectations with anything that is outer space, because we've seen a million fictional depictions. We've also seen a million realistic depictions of outer space, and there's two ways you go. You either say, okay, people know how outer space works, we don't have to give them all the technical jargon and explain like an airlock to them. Or you go, I'm going to make this more realistic, like The Martian with Matt Damon, Gravity, something like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they went more realistic, but they did it on a Netflix budget. So instead, I feel like what we got were every single space trope ever. Yeah. Like, there's this a bit of dialogue where the husband's talking to Hilary Swank, and it's like a flashback because she has bangs. And he literally says,
yes,
I loved you from the first moment I saw you in that X9 experimental rocket. They're just like shoveling you like exposition, like, no, these two, they're both astronauts, married astronauts, but they're like the best, but they're also married. I tell you, one of the things I liked about this show as it goes on, they did a good job of committing to diversity. I love the future that, like The Martian and this, I love that we're seeing a future where women are the mission commanders of these things. That's what I want. I like that is aspirational, and I like it. And I like that this mission team is very diverse. I like that they've got the sort of novice astronaut who's this like the best botanist on the planet, and he's I can't remember which African country he comes from, but he was adopted, and so he was raised in England, but he is from Africa. I think he said Ghana.
And he's Jewish.
Is it Ghana? It is Ghana, and he's Jewish. Yeah, because he was raised by a Jewish couple in England. And that's really interesting. And then, or no, I think his family was, and then there's Ram he's
kind of their group leader. He runs things when they're outside, at least in episode 2.
And he's from, I want to say, India. I think he's from India. Because they go into that in a later episode. And then you've got your Russian guy, who I think they did a good job with him. And then you've got your Chinese woman, who I don't want to reveal the twist, but there's a bit of a twist with her that gives her a little bit of something. And I think that's one of the things I liked about this, is that they did.
I'm just going to take a stab. Is the twist that the Chinese government is giving her secret mission separate from the rest of the crew, and that she has a love affair with the mission control girl they're about to replace?
Yes and no.
Or no and yes.
So far, I feel like they're telegraphing their punches.
Yeah, they are.
Shit.
But also, like, Josh Charles being in a wheelchair, like they went all in on making sure, in a way that when I think about it, I'm like, wow, you really kind of did check every box. But I didn't think about it when I was watching it. I didn't go, oh, there's another box check. You're just trying to make this diverse.
Here's my tweak. Instead of them being astronauts on a space mission to Mars, I think this would have been more.
Parlor.
No. If they were news correspondents in like war-torn Iraq or in like some type of a country there, so it's still webcam mom. She still has the same problem. Like everybody's still trying to like communicate back home. But I feel like those dangerous situations over there would feel more realistic than like space scenarios that are reminiscent of things I've already seen.
I get that. I feel like this was trying to be their Martian. Because The Martian's great, and it does what it does really well, and I feel like they're trying to do that. And unfortunately, The Martian has this whole thing of everything going wrong because one thing went wrong, and it makes sense. Like, the guy get left on Mars, so a ton of stuff's going to go wrong. He's using old equipment. He's using, he doesn't have
enough food. Enough people to run everything.
There's not enough people. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why he's in this position. But the way everything keeps going on wrong in a way, it's like, oh, NASA fucking sucks at this. Look, The Martian is all about how amazing NASA is at solving problems, and this is how.
So far, everything I've gotten to see of ground control, they freeze, and like literally two people standing outside a spaceship go, "We're just going to wing it and not tell anyone what we're doing."
The NASA of Armageddon is more put together. Than
oh my God, that's right. That's true. That's true. Billy Bob Thornton would have got this done.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest flaws is that they were trying for the Martian. They didn't quite get there.
Deep Impact.
But I think you're right. Like a tweak, Kyle, to make this a little less fantastical would have made the melodrama work a little better. But I want it to be the Martian. I want it to work the way it does, and I just feel like they aren't quite capable.
I wonder what this would have looked like if Ron Howard would have been a producer. Although I say that, are we sure he's not a producer?
He might be. Who knows? Tom Hanks can be involved. Tom Hanks he has to be involved in everything space, I think. So he's probably got his name on there somewhere.
Yeah. He bought a chunk of space.
He bought a chunk of space. You have to fly through Tom Hanksville. But anyway, I don't know that I'd necessarily recommend this to people, but like I say, I will put my thumb on the scale a little bit because my teenager watched it with me, and they never watch stuff. They never sit through a whole show.
I'm enjoying it. I'll be honest. I would more likely recommend that people just go enjoy the rest of Josh Charles' career.
Yeah, for sure.
But also the From the Earth to the Moon, if you want your sci-fi nerdness, realism side, it's a great documentary. And a little show called Ascension that ran one season.
Oh yeah,
is a lot more fun than this.
All right, let's go into spoiler territory. We're going to talk the last episodes of Lovecraft Country, the last 2 weeks, because there's some crazy shit going on in Lovecraft Country.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to pull the slot machine lever and see what show we got.
Right? I love this. I love it. It's based in an anthology show.
It is. It's just great. It's like, let's take this premise. There's an offhand chance that we will never get a primarily black cast horror show again.
Yeah.
Who knows? Let's just hit every genre we can while we're here.
And the great thing is they are telling a continuing story, like the story of Atticus, the story of the...
it all connects.
It's all connecting.
Difficulty level 11.
Yes. So the episode 5 is called The Strange Case, I think. Mm-hmm. And it is definitely a riff on like Jekyll and Hyde. But
also the makeup counter.
Yeah. This one, I love how the characters who I thought were sort of side characters get to be central for an episode.
I really dug this episode.
This is, God, what is her name?
This is my favorite
Ruby?
one so far. This eclipse, Ruby.
So,
this eclipses the haunted house episode 3 was my previous favorite.
Yeah, this was high. Actually, these last 2 were both really high for me. I thought this one was this was really good, and it's Ruby wakes up as a white woman because last we saw her, she was being hit on by she had slept with the white.
She'd gone home and hooked up on a staircase. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit.
It was hot.
That's uncomfortable.
Williams. They talked about this in the podcast that it was a nod to the sex scene in History of Violence, which also was on a staircase.
Yes, I was wondering if it was a nod to something because I was like, ouch.
It was.
Did you know that Ruby is also the woman who hooks Wyatt Russell up to the VR in Black Mirror?
Oh shit! No, I did not.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Sorry, just a little aside.
So, her, like, the crazy body horror of her transforming back into herself and the pain
Their
that she's
transformation
in was amazing.
Is wonderful. I love it.
I hope they're going to do a werewolf story, because, man, I want to see that applied to a werewolf story.
It's so the Hemlock Groveness of it. I mean, it was the only good thing about Hemlock Grove for me was their werewolf transformation, and to see them basically take that effect into a show I really love, and do it over and over and over.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then
she keeps getting fucking caught short and then leaving blood all the fuck over.
They use it to explore, as Lovecraft Country does. This is the constant thread, is they used it to explore the difference between white and black cultures in the 50s and racism and the wanting simultaneously to be accepted but also seeing what looks like to be accepted and
not just that, but the chilling effect on the scope of your dreams.
Yeah.
Like Ruby's dreams, when she's shown magic is real and given the power to transform into anything else, becomes a Marshall Fields counter girl,
because that's all she wanted. She just wanted that job.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it
takes it really does. It takes the episode to be believable to have that break for her.
Yeah, and then she hates the girl who got the job instead of her. She basically
it wasn't about qualifications. Wasn't even about being black.
Yeah, it was just luck. It was just pure luck.
Well, and I don't think the boss wanted to fuck her.
The sexual preferences of the manager.
Yeah, the manager, yeah. And man, that goes to a dark place. Like I was like,
God,
man, that's a brutal thing that Ruby does. And then the reveal, which I swear to God, I kicked myself for not seeing it coming. Like, how did I not see it?
This
was so how did I not see it? They put it right in plain sight.
I did the same thing. It's so obvious. And I didn't see it.
I asked the question one time in that very first episode when we saw him at the house. I was like, well, why isn't she here? And then I didn't answer.
God, yeah. That was such a great reveal, because I'm like, holy shit, I want to go back and rewatch all the other episodes, because it's like that was one character, not two characters. It makes so much sense.
And I've rewatched this episode now, and so the moment where he goes and pulls the cops out of the car and like she doesn't like being followed is beautiful, because like her car pulls up, she gets out of the car, goes in the house, he comes out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's just a lot of really great moments like that. And when she's talking to Ruby and says, like, I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And like, no, you don't fucking know. Like, well, in a way she does, because the central problem with her life is that she was raised in this power and magic, and we're going to be kings of the world, but only if you've got a penis.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she can't be the scion of her family, and I can't imagine the childhood of being like disappointed lower than shit to your dad.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if he made a comment in that second episode about well, I can't take over, or I can't do something for this and this reason, because even though she can change with the magic, I imagine it's not strong enough to give her what Atticus has.
Yeah,
probably not,
because she would be the heir above Atticus had it not been for her being a woman.
But she is planning to take over that other lodge.
Oh yeah, sure.
Did you guys find the male version of that character more likable than the female version until we got the twist?
You know what's interesting? I didn't find him more likable, but I thought that they were. He seemed like a servant, and she seemed like they almost flipped it. He seemed like a servant, and she seemed like someone who wanted to be the boss.
Yeah,
and now
perception
I get it.
Of power. I felt like she was scheming and he was working there,
because essentially,
and so I was willing to trust him. And now I understand that
because essentially,
I feel
her
played.
Servant.
Yeah,
she's her own servant. She just I needed to invent someone who I could use, and she made herself that. It's God.
I love it when going back and watching the scene of when she shows up to the lodge ball that they're making Ruby work at.
Yeah.
Is a whole different scene, knowing that they're one person.
Yeah,
because she shows up like an hour late, and like, oh yeah, William always does like a demanding woman, and like, there's just all these great lines of realizing like, oh, I just saw you. I'm the one that made you come here. I'm late because I had to go through the same. I had to take a shower and wash the fucking William off of me, just like you will, or just like you did to change back from Hillary.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that the woman she changes into is a character we saw in the first episode, or no, end of first episode, second episode. She was the woman with the dogs that was in the dungeon.
Oh.
Did you guys catch that?
No.
No.
Yeah. So the white woman she changes into is the woman who apparently was holding Atticus's father and says all the racist stuff in the first 2 episodes.
But that that had to be the one it was based on, right? It can't have been Ruby.
No. That had to be that has to be the real version, the real person.
So does that mean William was a real person? I assumed that it was just like a creation.
No. So no, and that actually tracks because William is a real person. I believe that she's turning into William because William looks like if she was telling the truth to Ruby about why they needed to kill the police captain.
Yeah.
It's because William should have been the rightful heir to this lodge. So maybe it's a cousin of hers.
Jamie Newman is the actress.
So I think she is taking a potion to specifically look like William in order to take over that lodge.
Oh man, see, I figured every time we saw William, it was her. I was thinking that was the reveal.
Because I think she found William's corpse where the lodge disposed of him.
Okay.
And she says, I nursed him back to life. Like, I think she just fashioned her potion off of him.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're thinking
I'm betting Ruby's potion then is fashioned off the other way.
I forget what happened.
Those characters are both dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this potion allows you to become somebody who's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is that just their blood? What is that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about episode 6, which happened this Sunday, and that's called Meet Me in Daegu. And it takes place. This is interesting because it's a completely new character, Jia. None of our other characters are in this until late in the episode. And
almost the entire episode is subtitled.
And when Atticus shows up, he is the love interest. He's not the lead character at all. And it is the story of a young woman in Korea who she seems to have some trouble with her mother. She's having trouble dating men, and she has this weird thing where like her mother wants her to date a man for some reason, like maybe to reestablish their stature, and that's what it seems like at first. And then we find out, oh no, she's a multi-tailed fox demon, and she has to kill 100 souls in order to become the daughter again. And man, that reveal was crazy.
What? You got a tattoo of that, Les?
I have a multi-tailed fox tattoo.
Whoa.
So she is a Kumio.
Yeah.
Which is a Korean variant of a Kitsune. In Japanese lore, they are not specifically evil and violent.
Right.
Foxes can live multiple lives in folklore, and they gain tails at a huge event, like huge learning moment, like by growing. And so a fox with 9 tails then becomes some kind of godlike, omniscient, see the future. It varies in different folklore. It varies in a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
So the Korean version of this is fucking evil and eats flesh and consumes souls and all sorts of shit, and it all varies. And it seems like, from what I was looking up earlier, because I had a moment in watching the show of like, wait, what? They're not monsters that I had read about them in Korea, and this seems to owe to the Japanese occupation. In Korea, their version of this is a fucking monster.
Well, that makes sense because
they're not amoral. They're mean.
This does have the backdrop of what the Japanese occupation has done to Korea and especially the U.S. being involved. Like it's about American imperialism just as much as it is a sort of weird love story. And also, like,
before the Americans arrived, they're watching like unification clips in the movie theater,
right?
Don't let anybody divide us on racism. We're all one Korea. And then the troops arrived.
This was also like seeing Atticus basically murder someone. Not even basically, he just murders someone.
When he does worse than that by the end of the episode.
And argue.
Yeah.
You
guys caught the
Atticus for me.
Because you have a moment of thinking that he's going to step up and like this is going to be an Atticus scene. We're going to learn a little bit about Tick here, where he ends up in the brig or argues
he just
with it.
Shoots a woman dead.
Nope.
Well, we know from
the
very first episode that Atticus has something in his past that he's trying to run away from. We assume it's just PTSD. He saw some shit.
Right.
But then when he goes to pull the gun on the blonde woman, like I was like, this seems out of character. Like, why would this just? I don't get this. But after this episode, where you see, oh no, he was the perpetrator of some dickish stuff. You're like, oh yeah, it makes sense why he has the power to pull a gun on a woman like that and take her life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When she sees his soul and sees some of his past. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what all's past and future, but if part of that's past, I think he pulled somebody's teeth out to torture them to get info.
That was her friend. That's what they did. They knocked the friend out and
they took away.
Yeah,
that they took away.
So she got that memory like right in the midst of it. Which what I was thinking, because she gets, we see her use the tail power and she kills everybody who she has sex with, but she doesn't kill Atticus.
We see her kill Ando from Heroes.
Oh yeah,
poor Ando.
But what I'm thinking is that because she didn't kill him, maybe that's why she saw his future. Because all of them, they didn't have a future. So she would have never seen their future because she killed him. But Atticus is the one she let go. So I think maybe her power is that she can see past and future. She just didn't realize that because she hadn't used it yet.
She never.
Well, and now she's at 99, so it's like I almost thought, I only have this protective power one more time, and then I'm going to lose it.
I can't wait to see. I assume we'll see her come back because she called Atticus or he called her, and so like.
Well, he calls her because something she told him connects to whatever he just translated.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how this all ties in, but this is another great standalone episode. This is just a fantastic Korean horror story. Korean horror is the best.
I really love Asian horror just for the moments of real family pathos and tragedy, like what is going on that the mom called this demon spirit forth to kill.
Well, I think they tell us. So I think that.
Oh yeah, no, they give us the whole story. Yeah. Like it's just so fucking tragic and
how she uses the memories to torment her mom.
Yeah, and you don't really know who's entirely telling the truth. I mean, you're just making assumptions that this demon is a monster and can't feel things, but the demon's been here and has 99 people's memories, and is it feeling that? Well,
I got 99 souls.
Are they real?
Atticus isn't one.
But the mom keeps saying, "Well, you can't feel things because you're not human," and something's happening. Yeah. How do I know if it's a feeling? How do I know if it's a real feeling? And it gets into that do androids dream kind of thing. Yeah. Are monsters human?
Yeah, every episode of the show is different. Every episode is great. I'm so excited to see more of it. Yes. And I thought these last two were just continue to be on the upswing. I'm not losing any interest at all. This is still one of the first things I watch every week.
Yeah, nice. Usually if a show's going to flip genres like this, one of them is going to be a complete whiff for me. Yeah. None of these have missed yet. I've enjoyed all of it. The connective tissue is strong enough that I want to follow the full story.
Yeah. Real quick, I not trying to talk about this show right now, but do you guys watch The Vow with this? Because they come out the same night.
Yeah.
I don't watch the same night. I don't
watch them at the same time.
Yeah. But we're going to do some old business on that at the end of the season, right?
Yeah, probably we'll have to catch up.
For sure. Nice.
But not this week, because this week we're done. That wraps it up for us. And want to thank all our listeners, thank our patrons. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Randy.
And we will be back next week with more. But until that time,
TV Dudes out from the webcam.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.